Can't go on without Doug. Forgive me, Beth. Operator, this is an emergency. Get me the police. I want to report a murder.
The death of Elizabeth Loomis Forbes in San Francisco was news throughout California. With her older sister, Amy Loomis, Beth Forbes had been one of the last survivors of a prominent pioneer family. I had nothing more than an academic interest in the case until a special delivery letter arrived the morning following the murder. From the scented paper and the handwriting, I knew it had been written by a woman, but that's all I knew. The note was terse and unsigned. The writer asked me to meet her at 11 the following morning at the Coit Tower on Telegraph Hill in San Francisco. Whoever she was, she said she urgently needed my help in connection with the death of Beth Loomis Forbes. She enclosed three $100 bills as a down payment on my services. It didn't take me long to decide what to do. San Francisco has always been one of my favorite cities. I welcomed the excuse to visit it again. I telephoned for a seat on the first plane north. I was at the Coit Tower at exactly 11 the next morning. And the woman whose letter had brought me there was as prompt as I was.
Mr. Adams, thank you for coming.
We've met somewhere before, haven't we?
Well, not exactly. I used to work at the Del Coronado Hotel. I saw you there quite often. I knew you were a private detective. That's why I wrote to you. My name is Madge Wyman.
Well, now that you've got me here, suppose you tell me what your connection is with Mrs. Forbes' murder.
Well, I don't have any connection except that I'm a friend of Doug Forbes.
Her husband? You're just a friend?
Does it really matter?
Well, I don't know. Does it?
All right. I'm in love with Doug. And he's in love with me. But we've done nothing to be ashamed of. We have nothing to hide. Doug didn't kill his wife, Mr. Adams.
Then why is he running from the police?
He's afraid. For one thing, he once served a prison term for grand theft bunco. And for another thing, he knows how guilty he looks.
How guilty is that?
Well, the night before his wife was killed, she and Doug had a terrible argument.
About what?
He told her he wasn't in love with her, that he was going to leave her, and that he wanted a divorce. She said she would never give him his freedom while she was still alive.
Well, it seems to me Forbes needs an attorney more than he does a private detective.
He needs both. If you would just tell him that you were willing to help him, that you would try to find out who really killed his wife, I think I could persuade him to give himself up to the police.
You know where he is?
He's telephoned me a couple of times. I expect another telephone call from him at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Won't you please help us?
Well, I'll do what I can on one condition.
What's that?
When and if he calls you this afternoon, you tell him I won't go to work until after he surrendered to the police. If he won't go for that, I don't have anything to do with him.
Where are you staying?
Mark Hopkins.
All right, I'll telephone you as soon as I've spoken with Doug. And thank you.
After talking to Madge Wyman, I still knew no more about Beth Forbes' murder than I had before. I needed more information before I became too deeply involved, and the Hall of Justice was the one place to get it. Lieutenant Kirk was in charge of the investigation into Beth Forbes' death. I identified myself to him and told him why I was in San Francisco, assuring him that I wanted to cooperate with the police.
Sit down. I'm glad to hear you say that, Adams. I need all the cooperation I can get on this one. You can start by giving me the name of Forbes' girlfriend.
There's something I'd like from you first, Lieutenant.
What?
A promise that you won't move in on her until after she's contacted me this afternoon. She'll have talked to Forbes by then, and if she's persuaded him to give himself up, they'll both be in.
If not?
She's all yours.
All right. You give me her name, I'll give her until 3 o'clock to get Forbes in here.
That's fair enough. Name is Madge Wyman.
Know where she lives?
No.
Okay, Adams, thanks. I appreciate the information.
Then suppose you give me some information.
Such as?
How good a case have you got against Doug Forbes?
Oh, I can answer that better after I talk to him. Meantime, shall we just say no comment? Nice to meet you, Adams. Keep in touch, huh?
Sure. I left the Hall of Justice without knowing any more than when I'd gone in. I still had a couple of hours to kill before I could expect to hear from Madge Wyman, so I decided to spend some of the time on a visit to the murdered woman's sister, Amy Loomis.
Come in.
There's a man to see you. His name is Dan Adams, a private detective. It's about Beth.
We'll have him come in, Will.
Come in.
Miss Loomis?
What is it you want, Mr. Adams? Oh, it's perfectly all right. Will is almost a member of the family.
Well, I've been retained to investigate the death of your sister, Miss Loomis.
Retained by whom, Mr. Adams?
I'd rather not name my client right now.
Is it Douglas Forbes?
No.
You are acting on his behalf?
Well, I don't owe any allegiance to Forbes, if that's what you mean. If he killed your sister, I want to know it. But if he didn't, I want to know that, too.
He killed my sister, Mr. Adams.
Why are you so sure?
Because I know the man. He's rotten through and through. An ex-convict who's done nothing for years but live off one wealthy woman after another.
You knew about Forbes before your sister married him?
I had him investigated.
Why?
I knew Doug Forbes first. For a while, I was the object of his charm. I must admit he had me completely fooled for a time. Then I introduced him to Beth. He turned his attentions to her. Beth was always shy, retiring, hopelessly vulnerable to a man like Forbes. In 2 weeks, they were married.
Stop it, Amy.
Stop it.
I had enough.
Beth eloped with Doug Forbes 2 days before she was to have married Will.
She was going to marry him?
Oh, yes. Will's from a very fine family. They had financial reverses, and he's been my social secretary for several years. Will and Beth grew up together. He worshipped her. After she married Doug Forbes, I don't know what Will would have done if I hadn't been able to convince him that someday he'd have her back. Now that he knows he never will, it's almost too much for him to bear. I've told you all I can, Mr. Adams. I really must ask you to go now. I'll see you to the door.
From Amy Loomis' apartment on Nob Hill, it was only a couple of blocks back to my hotel. I went there and waited for Madge Wyman to contact me. Her call came at exactly 5 minutes after 2, asking me to meet her as soon as possible at Fisherman's Wharf. Well, now what happened?
I wasn't expecting you so soon.
You talked to Forbes?
Yes.
And?
He's ready to give himself up, but he wants to talk to you first.
And where is he?
He's in a hotel not far from here. I'll take you to him. He wants to see you alone. He's in 19 on the next floor. I'll wait for you outside.
Who's there?
Dan Adams.
Well, thanks for coming, Adams.
Madge Wyman said you wanted to talk to me before you go to the police.
Yeah, I want to know if there wasn't some way to keep Madge out of this.
Police already know about her.
Oh, you told them. Madge said you were the type of guy to shoot things straight and narrow.
It's the only way you can play it.
Is it? For the first time in my life, I try to do something that's decent, and look what happens. You see, I came clean with Beth. I told her I didn't love her. I never did. I told her the only reason I married her was to get my hooks into her money. I had $50,000 of it in my name. I told her I didn't want a nickel of it. I said I was sorry that I did what I did to her.
You had quite a change of heart.
I know it sounds phony, but it's true. I don't want any of the credit for it. That belongs to Madge. You see, she laid it on the line to me. She told me either I'd break clean with Beth or I can forget about her.
But when you told your wife you wanted a divorce, she wouldn't agree to it.
No.
Why not?
Well, I don't know why. Maybe it was pride or spite or maybe even jealousy.
That doesn't sound much like your wife from the description her sister gave.
Oh, you talked to Amy? I suppose she unloaded it on me.
Well, since she knows what you are after and tried to warn her sister about you, can you blame her?
Look, don't let Amy kid you. Sure, she knew what I was like, all right. But that's not the reason why she didn't want me to marry Beth.
No?
No. From the first when she had me investigated, she brought me the information.
What'd she want?
You're not going to believe this, but she told me she'd forget what she found out about me if I'd marry her instead of Beth.
You certainly do have a way with the ladies, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose if I had 12 of them on my jury, I maybe could escape the gas chamber. Otherwise, I'm cooked.
Maybe not.
Look, let's don't kid ourselves, Adams. They're going to have to pin Beth's murder on somebody. Looks like I'm elected. That was Madge's idea to bring you in on this. I was playing along with it because I wanted her to think there was some hope.
Well, if you didn't kill your wife, do you have any idea who did?
No, that's just it. I can't understand why anybody would want to kill a mousy little thing like her. It just doesn't make sense.
We don't have much time, Forbes. Lieutenant Kirk wants you in his office before 3 o'clock.
Yeah. All right, we might as well get it over with.
Piper! Here's your phone. Two hours after he'd been gunned down by Will Piper, Douglas Forbes was in the city morgue, and I was back in the office of Lieutenant Kirk. Madge Wyman had collapsed and had been sent home under the care of her doctor. An all-points bulletin had been broadcast for Piper. Attempts to reach Amy Loomis had been futile. She wasn't home. A stakeout had been placed on her melancholy old house on Nob Hill.
Kirk, cutting hour yet? No. You stay right there. I'll be over in a few minutes. There's our man over at the Loomis house. Amy Loomis just got home.
Mind if I go along?
No, come on. Kirk? Oh, yeah, Harry. What'd you get? What? You sure there's no mistake? All right. You don't make mistakes. I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Harry.
Oh, what was that all about?
Ballistics just checked the slug they took out of Forbes' body.
Oh?
Came from the same gun that was used to kill Forbes' wife.
Just can't believe it. Just can't believe it.
Well, I can appreciate your feelings, Miss Loomis, but it's true.
How did Will know where Doug Forbes was?
Well, obviously, he followed me after I left here. First to my hotel, then to Fisherman's Wharf, where I met Madge Wyman, and finally to the hotel where Forbes was staying.
I just can't see how it happened. Well, I can understand Will shooting Doug. He hated him for taking Beth away, but Beth... Will loved her too much to have done anything to hurt her.
How do you account for the fact that he had the gun that killed your sister?
I don't know, Lieutenant. I just don't know.
Does Will Piper own a .25 caliber automatic?
If he does, I don't know anything about it.
Do you know where he is?
No.
You sure?
I know what you're thinking, Lieutenant, but you're wrong. For his own sake, if not for any other reason, I wouldn't protect Will.
If he did try to contact you, you'd let me know.
Yes, I would.
Well, I guess that's all, Miss Loomis. Thank you. You coming, Adams?
Thanks. I'll walk back to the hotel, Lieutenant.
All right. See you later.
Is there something else you wanted, Mr. Adams?
Well, there were a few questions
With Doug Forbes being dead, I can't understand your interest in the case.
It's purely personal.
Hello?
Amy, this is Will.
Yes, this is Miss Loomis.
What's the matter?
Oh, Mr. Colby, how nice to hear from you.
Somebody there?
Yes.
Then call me as quick as you can.
All right.
I'm at Garfield 17596. You got that?
Yes, I have it. And thank you for calling. I'm really very tired, Mr. Adams. I'll have to ask you to go now.
Yes, I understand. Goodbye, Miss Loomis.
Goodbye.
See you.
Where are you?
I'm in the basement of the apartment across the street.
Will you stay right there? I'll be over in a few minutes.
Amy, I've got to get out of town. Can you bring me some money?
I'll be over in a few minutes.
Bring some money?
Will, why did you do it? Why?
I had to. I had to do it for Beth. It's my fault she's dead.
Oh, no, Will, no.
It is. I thought about killing him for a long time. I knew something happened to Beth if I didn't. I'd have killed him when I first thought about it.
She'd still be alive today.
If you just left Doug to the police, everything would have been all right.
I just couldn't do that, Amy. That man Adams came to the house today. Had a feeling he'd lead me to Forbes. I knew about the gun in the table drawer. I saw you put it there the other day.
Will, where's the gun now?
It's here.
Well, give it to me.
Why?
Never mind, just give it to me.
No, Amy, I can't. I have to keep it with me.
Will, I want that gun. If the police should ever get a hold of it, they'd...
Did what?
Will, that gun is mine.
Yours?
I bought it a long time ago. I'd forgotten all about it until...
Till what?
I don't quite know how to tell you this, Will.
Tell me what, Amy.
Doug Forbes didn't kill Beth. She wasn't murdered at all. She killed herself. Yes, it's true.
I don't believe you.
I found her, Will. I know. She shot herself with the gun that you have, my gun. She must have taken it from the house sometime. Anyway, there was this note and a gun.
No.
Yes, Beth wrote it. She said she couldn't go on any longer without...
Doug.
When I found her, I was going to call the police. But then I realized that Doug would be blamed if it looked as though she'd been murdered. Will, the police must never find out that that gun is mine. Give it to me, please. If they find out that it's mine, they'll think I killed her.
You did?
No.
Forbes didn't kill her, you did?
She said herself.
You're lying. She wouldn't do that.
No.
That's enough, Piper.
Let her go.
Injuries were serious, but not fatal. She would probably be in the hospital a long time, and in prison a lot longer. As for Will Piper, he was starting a journey that would take him only to a dead end.